Good afternoon and welcome to This Is Now. First today on Maui, crews are battling a brush fire in Waiehu. A voluntary evacuation notice was just lifted about an hour ago.
And Kahekili Highway has also been reopened. Now, MFD says the blaze is on the Mauka side of Kahekili Highway near Maka'ala Drive. Heavy smoke was impacting residences in the Waiehu Heights, Waiehu Terrace, and Wailuku Country Estates areas. Liliuokalani Skate Park was opened as a temporary evacuation point for residents, but it has since closed. The fire was reported at around 2:15 a.m. and MEMA sent out an alert to the public at around 5 a.m. At last check, the fire was estimated to be about 19 acres. Also on Maui, Crater Road is back open after a brush fire closed it for about 2 weeks. The fire in Upper Kula is ongoing and at last check has burned about 574 acres. It remains about 80% contained. The opening of the road restores access to the summit of Liliuokalani National Park, but if you are going through the area, you are urged to drive with caution due to all the firefighting equipment along the road. On Oahu, a 27-year-old is recovering in the hospital after she was hit by a car. It happened on Kamehameha Highway in the Haleiwa area. Police say she was crossing the highway just after 7:30 last night. She was not in a marked crosswalk when she was hit. We're told the driver briefly stopped before driving away without helping the woman. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but has shown signs of improvement. Police are looking for a dark-colored four-door sedan. Call HPD with any tips. Last night, former President Donald Trump went on the attack against Vice President Kamala Harris, who's back on the campaign trail. Meanwhile, President Biden laid out his reasons for dropping out of his bid for re-election. Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
My fellow Americans.
In his Oval Office address, President Biden says it's time to pass the torch, saying Vice President Kamala Harris is the clear choice to take the job.
She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable.
The president spoke for just 11 minutes, but called on Americans to preserve democracy. He said he reveres his job, but loves his nation more.
You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
He also outlined goals for his final 6 months in office.
They'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy.
Harris watched the president's speech from the campaign trail. Today, she addressed a teachers' convention in Houston.
And I thank you also for your support over the years and for being the first union to endorse me this week.
In his first campaign rally since President Biden stepped aside, former President Trump went after his likely opponent's record.
Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She is a radical left lunatic who will destroy our country.
As Trump steps up his attacks of Harris and her record in California, the vice president Thursday released her first campaign video called We Choose Freedom. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono is sharing her thoughts on President Biden's historic address and his decision to drop out of the race.
I think the decision was a courageous one, and to me, it showed his utter commitment to our country and what is best for our country. I'm sure it was a very hard decision for him. It was very heartfelt, and it showed that he was willing to give up a lot of power, unlike some other people I can think of.
Hirono also talked about the prospects of Vice President Harris winning over the nation with only 100 days until the general election.
She is a heck of a lot more qualified than the other guy, I can tell you that. I'm very fond of her. She's very smart. I've watched her perform and the commitment that she has to the rule of law. And how she set up her questions is really delightful to watch. Very smart, very caring, very effective.
Second gentleman Doug Emhoff's ex-wife is coming to the defense of Vice President Kamala Harris. She says the sexist attacks on Harris are baseless and called the VP a loving, protective, and present co-parent. CNN's Sunlin Safadi has more.
I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly Vice President will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most.
It's a title Vice President Kamala Harris is proud of.
Family is our beautiful children, Cole and Ella, who call me Mamala.
But now that she has been elevated to the top of the ticket, that title, stepmother, is again in the spotlight.
My family means everything to me.
With some conservatives suggesting she should not be president because she does not have biological children. Really simple, under-discussed reason why Kamala Harris shouldn't be president. No children. A conservative lawyer who worked on Ron DeSantis' campaign wrote this week on social media, adding, and no, becoming a step-parent to older teenagers doesn't count. That echoes similar comments made by now Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance in 2021.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
Which are being resurfaced anew as he and his running mate Donald Trump seek to define Harris for voters.
It's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Harris does have children, 2 adult stepchildren, Cole and Ella, who were 19 and 15 when she married Doug Emhoff in 2014.
We have a very modern family.
Their blended family, she has joked, is almost a little too functional, which she credits to the close friendship she has with Emhoff's first wife, whom she calls an incredible mother.
One of the keys to my relationship with Cole and Ella is their mom.
Ella Emhoff says their family dynamics work. They are really a unit, like a 3-person parenting squad. It's really cool, creating a modern political family.
The thing about blended families, if everyone approaches it in the way that there's plenty of love to share, then it works.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Party of Hawaii has officially pledged their support for Vice President Harris in the run for the White House. State Party Chair Derek Turbin announced that the delegates who originally pledged their support for President Joe Biden are now backing Harris. He praised Biden for stepping down, saying his decision, quote, shows the fresh energy coursing through our party. Democrats are gearing up for their national convention in Chicago, which kicks off August 19th. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in the U.S. for the first time since President Biden took office. Netanyahu is also planning to meet with the next president of the United States. All of this comes amid protests during his visit. Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Pro-Palestinian protesters outside the White House held up an effigy of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, showing him with blood on his hands.
Right now, right behind us, President Biden is having a meeting. He's having a meeting with a war criminal.
Netanyahu arrived for his first face-to-face talks with President Biden since the October 7th attack and war in Gaza.
I look forward to discussing with you today and working with you in the months ahead on the great issues before us.
Netanyahu and Biden are discussing the outline of a deal that would pause the fighting and see Hamas release Israeli hostages.
There are gaps that remain, and our team continues to work with our counterparts in the region to see if we can't close those gaps.
The two men also met with family members of American citizens still being held hostage in Gaza. With President Biden's time in the White House nearing an end, Prime Minister Netanyahu is covering his bases, meeting with the Republican presidential nominee and the likely Democratic nominee. Vice President Harris was not on hand for Netanyahu's address to Congress Wednesday, but she returned from the campaign trail Thursday to meet with him.
She's been a full partner in our policies in the Middle East, particularly with our policies towards Israel and the war in Gaza.
Former President Trump said Israel should wrap up the war quickly because of the bad publicity.
Got to get this done fast because the world is not taking lightly to it. It's really incredible. You know, October 7th would have never happened if I was president.
Netanyahu is going to Mar-a-Lago on Friday for a meeting with Trump. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
More help will soon be available for families who lost their homes in the Maui wildfires. The Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement announced yesterday the launch of Kāko'o Maui pre-development grant to help them start the rebuilding process. CNHA will offer up to $15,000 to cover essential pre-development needs necessary for rebuilding. You can find more information on our website. Now to Leeward Oahu, where concerns raised in the wake of the Lahaina wildfires have pushed several road improvement projects ahead. As our Ben Gutierrez reports, they include a plan to use a long-closed access road controlled by the military.
State and city transportation officials have big plans for West Oahu and the Leeward Coast in particular, including more plans for Farrington Highway, the only way in and out. It's always a headache for residents trying to get in and out with a bottleneck in Nanakuli, even with a contraflow lane. The state DOT widened Farrington Highway up to Liliuokalani Street, including wider and safer sidewalks.
Now we're looking at extending our fifth lane. So we get our fifth lane at Nanakuli and Haleakala. We're going to extend it out to Mokihi.
Waiehu on the west side, Nanakuli, we haven't kept up with the increase of population. So now we're playing catch up for years of projects we haven't gotten.
The DOT also says it will complete work on 2 big bridge projects next month, one to replace the highway bridges in Makaha, and the other, the long-awaited replacement of the Maipaloa Bridge, which had been considered one of the most dangerous bridges in the state. It will finally be done 9 years after the contract was awarded. But Farrington Highway is still the main way in and out of West Oahu.
You have about 60,000 folks on the Waiehu coast from Makaha all the way to Nanakuli.
And that area has a high risk of wildfires. The experience of Lahaina appears to have sparked action on opening more emergency routes, including Kolekole Pass through the Waianae Mountains, which belongs to the military and has only been open to emergency vehicles in times of crisis. Sniffen says the Army and Navy have agreed to allow work that would make it a public evacuation route.
We're upgrading that route to ensure that if in an all-dark situation, if it's dark at 2 a.m., it's smoky, we have striping, signage, new pavement in different areas, and protections from slopes to allow people to use it by the end of this year.
The DOT also installed 4 new speed humps this month on Pohakunui Avenue, which is owned by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
There is a time and space where the city may take over these roads, so we worked with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands on a speed reduction program, safety enhancements. So worked with them to establish speed humps, and the State Department of Transportation actually delivered and did the construction of those speed humps.
In Nanakuli, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you so much for that report, Ben. Let's send you live outside now to Halema'uma'u crater at Kilauea. Now, scientists are keeping a close eye on Kilauea after an uptick in activity. Although the volcano is not erupting, the USGS says the summit has been steadily deflating, which is a sign that magma is on the move. Now, activity in the upper east rift zone between Pauahi crater and Mauna Ulu along the chain of crater roads has been detected. The USGS says there could be an eruption or the magma could continue to accumulate under the surface, and we're told within the last few days there have been upwards of 1,000 tiny little earthquakes there. So a lot of activity there over on Hawaii Island. Always an exciting sight to see. Stay with us. We'll have more news and weather after this short break.
Aloha on this Thursday. We still have cyclone-free conditions here in the Central Pacific, although we do have a disturbance to our southwest. It's not going to bring us any rain. We'll get some high clouds from it. But new this morning, we're tracking a tropical storm. It's in the East Pacific. This is Tropical Storm Bud, over 2,200 miles away from us. Winds are at 60 miles an hour, but it's going to fall apart pretty quickly. By tomorrow, should be down to a tropical depression, so it will not impact our weather. So this is what we've got this morning. High clouds, very little rain. Drier conditions are taking over, and we're expecting these drier conditions to linger through the weekend. And with these winds running so firm today, tomorrow, as well as through the weekend, that fire threat is actually higher because humidity levels are lower. In addition to the very dry conditions out there, we are more fire prone than if it were wetter and if we had lighter winds. But we'll have some breezy winds today, especially in the afternoon. All in all, it's going to be a pleasant day with lots of afternoon sunshine. As far as the surf, it's basically small and really tiny northwest and south shores. The trade swell might get bigger over the next couple of days because of those consistent trade winds, but also conditions will be choppy over on the east side. So the weather's going to remain very stable and fairly dry for the next several days. We've got breezy winds running firm all the way through Saturday, still firm on Sunday and Monday as well. Much lighter winds are not expected in until Tuesday.
Happening this weekend is the highly anticipated Keiki Hula Festival. Talking about the lineup, it starts tonight, Thursday, July 25th, with the Miss and Masters Solo Hula competition that runs from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Then Friday is the Hula Kahiko. That's also happening from 6 to 10. Then comes Saturday, and that is the Hula Awana competition, and that starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and goes until 5 p.m. There are so many ways to experience the festival. Keiki Hula includes a free pop-up makeke, along with some chances to get some amazing products from local businesses and artisans. Our Casey Lund has more.
Aloha from the Blaisdell Exhibition Hall. This is, of course, where everything aside from the great competition that happens in the arena, by the way, tonight, soloist performances, and then Kahiko and Awana, Friday and Saturday, respectively. But there's so much happening here, including the pop-up makeke. But we're in a place that I just have been dying to show folks here. The Hawaii State Archives State Archivist, Dr. Adam Jensen, is with us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
I did not expect to see a spaceman suit here at the Keiki Hula Festival. But you guys have this awesome platform to showcase so much of the history and the archives from Queen Liliuokalani, correct?
That's correct. And Hawaii played such an important role in the Apollo space program. We thought this was a great opportunity to introduce the kids to some STEM and get them excited.
Because you kind of separated things up in the Queen's life, 5 different areas that she was really focused on. I want to have you take us away, Dr. Jensen, and show us around a little bit. We don't have all the artifacts here. They're being transported securely, but let's take a walk and show people a little bit about what they can experience here in the festival.
Well, everybody knows what an inspirational leader the Queen was, and we need that in this time. So we wanted to take the opportunity to focus on 5 areas that she also championed throughout her lifetime. So we're bringing articles from her personal manuscript collection. These are her letters, her words, her diaries in the areas of education, her music, which is very well known, her philanthropy, gender equality, and her writings. She did more than just music and the books. We're bringing poetry that she wrote.
This is so cool. And again, we have so much we could say and talk about. But the centerpiece, what we've been talking about all morning, we reported on last week, we reported on last year when it went away to the mainland, those banners. And if we can, I want to be careful here. I know these are just photos. But they're going to be displayed here. Again, they're going to be transported securely later this afternoon for folks to see and enjoy. But this is a pretty special moment.
And we're very excited about this because this is, absolute proof that the banner that's going to be displayed in this case was part of that 1886 50th birthday for Mo'i Kalakaua, because you can see the banner sitting here in the throne room on display with the rest of the ho'okupu.
And we want to thank again United Airlines and the flight attendants, the Native Hawaiian folks that were part of transporting that over here so that people can enjoy this during the festival. Okay, one last thing that we want to show people, and this is really cool, Dr. Jensen. Tell us about this. This is absolutely stunning and beautiful, right?
We love bringing history to the people. And so I think this is an excellent example. This is a 1912 Edison cylinder player with a 1915 recording of Aloha Oi. So this would have been the Queen's music in the Queen's lifetime as she would have heard it.
And so just since my producers aren't telling me to wrap things up yet, I do want to elaborate on this a little bit more because these were played on originally wax recordings, right?
That's how they originally recorded this sound, yes.
So if I can, we can play a little music for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind being the DJ for this. So flip the lever to the right and then drop the needle. And then we have that 1915 recording of Aloha Oi guitar duet.
That is a beautiful way to end our morning together and our day together. Dr. Adam Jansen, the Hawaii State Archivist, so much to see and so much to celebrate here at the exhibition hall. That is beautiful. Listen to that, guys. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Southwest Airlines will have assigned seats for the first time in its history, a change that will allow the low-fare carrier to charge a premium for some of the seats on its planes. The airline will also start offering overnight red-eye flights for the first time, which it said will improve the efficiency by increasing the use of its aircraft. The company said customers were clamoring for these changes when people switched to a competitor from Southwest. The company said the number one reason the unhappy passengers cite is open seating. No details, though, on when these changes will go into effect. Meanwhile, the recent global IT outage is being called one of the largest of its kind in history. So how did the massive glitch happen, and what can we do to prepare for the next one? Julia Vargas Jones has more.
After 5 days of tech chaos around the globe, we are just now learning what exactly happened to cause the outage of CrowdStrike and how much it might have cost. New details emerging from last week's outage showed the magnitude of this tech disaster. 8.5 million devices affected and more than $5 billion in direct losses. That's according to an analysis by insurance firm Parametrics. CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity giant behind the glitch, now releasing results of its investigation. The company says it all started with the routine software update released just after midnight on July 19th.
CrowdStrike was doing an upgrade, and it seems like they were doing a software upgrade overnight, which is not uncommon. Maybe they didn't regression test it enough, and it brought systems down around the world because CrowdStrike is used all over the world.
That update included a file that was supposed to look for malicious hacking on customer devices, but that file was faulty. The glitch ended up causing millions of Windows computers to crash worldwide, bringing hospitals, airports, and train stations to a halt. The update was quickly retracted, but the damage was done. One expert even going as far as to say, "I don't think it's too early to call it. This will be the largest IT outage in history." And recovery takes time.
You can't just flip a switch. It doesn't all just come back. They have to get the systems running again.
The worst part,
it will probably happen again in the future.
But it doesn't have to. If companies can take a lesson from this massive crash, is to roll out large updates in phases, not all at once, experts say.
In other words, do it in a staged way. So if 1,000 machines break, that's better than 8.1 million, right?
That kind of eye-popping damage estimate goes to show how one preventable mistake can have a cascading effect in the global economy, and it may prompt for more calls to hold CrowdStrike accountable. Julia Vargas Jones, Los Angeles.
And the official opening ceremonies of the 2024 Olympics is just 1 day away, and the elite athletes have spent years preparing for this moment. Their Olympic quests inspired junior volunteers at one North Texas hospital to get a jump on the competition. Noel Walker has this in today's Good News Now.
Methodist Midlothian Medical Center was all fun and games.
I'm going to promise you, I'm not a surgeon.
Olympic games.
Very competitive. I have fun doing it, though.
Before Team USA goes for the gold, the surgery team and other hospital departments took their best shot to get a medal. Junior volunteers organized these games.
Because we know how hard the staff works every single day, and I think since the Olympics is coming up, it would be good for them to have an event like this.
We're doing great.
Cornhole, a pool noodle toss, and inflatable basketball were among the competitive events you won't see in the Olympics.
Oh, the competitive juices are out.
We called it hose it down.
You put a pantyhose on your head and you swing the balls around to knock the cup over.
2 more. 1 more. We did it. You know, it's hard to be competitive at every little thing. But yeah, this is a good day.
I like to see people that have worked so hard and then they're successful. You like to see the end. And I like to see them, the joy they get in their face when they win. Yeah.
Maybe the Olympics will get ideas for future events.
I would definitely start watching the Olympics if they had this. If they had this on and with the pantyhose on, I think that would be perfect.
Such fun there. Thanks for watching, everyone.